not happened. If we say that 85% employed in there, but only getting that percent of the GDP or the production for the country, it means there is a potential that needs to be got harnessed from that sector. And therefore, it leads us to what a prioritization that need to be done to harness these sectors. We look at some of the challenges like access to resources, which is lacking or rather not sufficient. We look at the ground where they are operating, and especially the aspect of the licensing. And from there, then we look at what do we need to do in terms of the growth projections from that sector, so that we look at enhancing production and profitability, because it's only that when the production has gone up, productivity has gone up, and the revenue, I mean, from the owners of that sector has gone up in terms of profitability, then we can talk about enhancing the resource base by bringing out a bigger net to reach to more. But we also need to look at what else, what makes them out, for example, the issue of registration, formalization, and why they are staying out, so that we bring aspect of motivating them to join. So those are some of the interventions that perhaps need to be looked into the medium term to bring on this very important sector. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Let's appreciate him for those few remarks. Quickly, I'll ask CS RISPA to make a few remarks in terms of what frameworks the Kenya Revenue Authority has put in place for the MSME sector to enable them maybe contribute to the national kitty. RISPA.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. MSMEs, very critical sector to our economy. And I will start by saying, from a tax revenue perspective, this is a sector, when you look at it as a percentage of GDP, it contributes about, it forms about 40% of the GDP of this country. What we, however, have noted is that the bulk of this sector are in what we call informal sector. So informal, to the extent that not that they cannot fit within the structural, structures that exist, but more around the framework, what then governs them and how they carry out their operations. Now, being 40% of the GDP, that sector contributes just about 15% of the domestic revenue. And in that 15%, those who have a turnover of just about 50 million and below contribute just about 6% of the domestic taxes revenue. So if you see, you start from a very big number that is not even wholesome, but as it continues then moving down, it even becomes smaller. Yet this is a very critical group as far as our economy is concerned. So what are we doing as the Kenya Revenue Authority? One, we've noticed that, and actually having been part of this whole conversation since the conversations towards the run-up to Madaraka began, is that there is a likelihood of information gap. Information gap to the extent that a number would want to comply, a number want to be part of these wheels of oiling our government and keeping our government afloat, but in some instances probably do not know how. And that is why we come in terms of passing out the information, stakeholder engagement, stakeholder sensitization. Sometimes in April, we did have a round table just targeting the MSMEs. And sometimes out of lack of information, out of lack of knowledge, then you find yourself in a wrong corner and then you become a non-compliant entity. But then with this kind of information, we have Ushuru Mashinani, where we try to reach out through different programs, even having radio stations where we speak in vernacular to pass out this message to ensure that we reach as many as we can. We have a mobile unit, the mobile taxpayer bus, that was flagged off by His Excellency President yesterday. This being the period where we are doing the run-up to filing of returns, and not just employment returns that cover the businesses, so that as we continue growing our tax base, we have more people in the bracket, and then we move away from dwelling on those ones who have brick and mortar, who then we have to go back to every time to engage on matters tax, and we expand our tax base as we bring in more people from the informal sector into the bracket. So some bit has been done, but a lot more can be done to support this sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Let's appreciate RISPA. It's also important to also mention that at this point, because she has mentioned that we're in the tax filing season, that everybody who has a KRA PIN, whether you are an income or not, you are required to file a tax return. So make sure that you file your taxes before the end of June next month. Moving on now on matters in terms of the opportunities that are available for revenue mobilization on the MSMEs sector and how county government are enabling this. I'll ask the director to go ahead and share some thoughts.
Thank you, moderator. Yeah. First, I want to acknowledge that there are multiple government agencies that are providing trade development services across the spectrum, both in national government and now county governments are also doing the same. So the first opportunity that we have is how do we consolidate the effort that we have so that the county government is the frontline provider of trade and development services that is actually a devolved function. When you come to a county government, you will experience almost every state agency within the county space doing things that are parallel to what the county government is doing. Can we consolidate through policy and legislation to have a one-stop provider of trade and development services as the county government? Then the counties will leverage on the technical expertise of sorry for that. We leverage on the expertise of all the other agencies to support the frontline extension service on trade and development. So we would really like, from the council's perspective, to see a review of legislation, a review of policies, and a review of the institutions that are providing frontline services on trade and development consolidated around the county government as the frontline provider. That means, therefore, the county government is able to know who is there, are they registered, are they individuals, are they groups, what kind of services do they need, so that now we can be able to provide that support to the business sector. Secondly, business is private. The finances are provided largely by the banking institutions and microfinance institutions. How then can the county government be able to work with all these other providers to create an enabling space for them to be the ultimate providers of business development services, to be the ultimate providers of finance, to be the ultimate providers of technical support to the business people? As we focus, as the county and government focus on those who are not able to join the mainstream and therefore could be left out in terms of financial inclusion. So for me, those are two things that we really need to work on. One, a reform of the legislative and policy space to provide for the county governments as the business development providers of first resort, and therefore we minimize the competition and duplication that is currently existing. So can we then ask the county governments to be aware of who the businesses are, what are the opportunities, and how we can be able then to support those business entities to thrive within the local space? I thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate him. In the same matters relating to the county government, it is important. We've had the view from the Council of Governors. We'd like to hear the same remarks being made from Embu County Government by our very own CC of Trade, Tourism and Industry Development. Also recasting the opportunities that are available for revenue mobilization in the SME sector and how as a county, we can be able to enable that. Waziri Njama.
Thank you, Moderator. First, it's very, very important to note that that big percentage of the informal sector all happens in counties. So in the counties, we are very keen to improve on the mobilization of revenue. One thing we have realized is a lot of gaps, especially when it comes to handling cash. So we have totally gone cashless in terms of mobilization of our revenue. Again, we are also improving on our networks and the software because, again, that was really failing. We have also come up with improving the infrastructure. The places where our traders are staying, some of the facilities that we have been having are quite low, and sometimes even the traders do not feel like there's any need to pay because they don't see value for their money. Something else that is of priority is we need to also bring revenue and taxation into the curriculum. I have seen a lot of programs in the current education system, the CBC. You need also to incorporate so that you try and start building that patriotism quite early in life so that even when people are paying the taxes, they pay it from a point of patriotism and not like a punishment, so that they feel that they have that moral obligation, that duty to develop their counties and ultimately their country. And finally, it is very important that incentives are given. Even before we tax, what are we doing as government to provide or to help those businesses that are coming up, the startups, to thrive? Because our taxation system is currently punitive rather than being supportive. When you are registering a business, before you even walk, you're slapped with all manners of fines and penalties so that you're a criminal, even before you have started business. So that is among the things that we are doing. We also want to improve the legislative framework as county. Currently, we have a trade promotions and development bill that is in the process. That will now empower our trade departments to capture data from the traders, and with this very, very strong partnership between the counties and the national government, we will also come up with models of data sharing so that we know where the traders are, we know what they are doing, and we will help even the revenue collection agencies with that data so that we continue improving on our collections. Thank you, Moderator.
Thank you, Waziri. Let's appreciate Waziri. Thank you very much, moderators. You have helped us understand where we are at in terms of revenue and the direction the country really is going. And before we pick one or two reactions in terms of the questions that you might have for the moderators, I want to recast that you've heard from the National Treasury what the government is doing in terms of looking at MSMEs as an enabler of the economic growth and the vision that the national government has in terms of the growth of the tax base. We've also heard from the Kenya Revenue Authority in terms of the support that they would like to have in place and what frameworks they are rolling out to support the current and the emerging MSMEs. And then we've heard from the Council of Governors and the county government the main focus and the areas that we really want to focus on. So as you prepare your questions for another, maybe we'll pick very few questions, but before I do that, it is very important that we also need some little motivation, some encouragement in terms of what we are trying to do in terms of this whole aspect of MSMEs. And therefore, we'll hear a quick testimonial those who are here yesterday and from Engineer Karomba, and therefore I'm going to give him 1 or 2 minutes just to share an inspiration, and then we'll be done. Then I will pick the questions, and then this session will be over, and then we'll move into the ICT component of the plenary. Thank you. Welcome, Engineer.
Prime Cabinet Secretary, all protocols observed. My name is Dr. Engineer Charles Kalomba. And a Prime Secretary General, you left me when I was an engineer. So this doctorate I got recently, unaweza kuichomea nyama the way you did the other one. I remember when you were the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister in Kenya, you were the chair in the ministerial committee that was addressing the issues of MSMEs. And we had several meetings discussing the same. And I'm sure that you are happy to see your word that you spoke then and the passion on our president is coming to reality. I want to start by recognizing what we are doing with KRA, but I should say that special recognition goes to the Commissioner General, who is in the House, Madam Rispa Simiyu. She has some passion to push this agenda to help us. Regional Coordinator North Region, Mr. Kinoti is in the House. We have the Deputy Commissioner, Marketing and Communication, Ms. Wandera, again, a lot of passion in her vessel to make sure that things work. Then we have Ms. Ahago, Mr. Mwangi, and Mr. Mugambi. Again, I would not finish without saying the PS ICT, whom we have really engaged a lot, and the passion still on him to make sure that things work for us on technology. Waziri, the Prime Minister, I'm calling you Prime Minister because you know you are the Deputy Prime Minister. Now you are enhancing yourself as a Prime Cabinet Secretary. Now, we have the MSC authority in the House. We have the DG, Mr. Rita is in the House. We have the board of Musea in the House. Then we have the management. So this event, Chief Guest, we are very happy to have you here. One of the things that we have done since you began to speak those years, we have over years engaged KRA in meetings to dialogue on how we can push our agenda going forward in terms of effective stakeholder engagements, round table meetings, just to spell out how we can collect taxes from the MSCs. You knew the Juakali sector many, many years. You've given us testimonies after testimonies. And as a father, you have been keen to make sure that things work for us. We are very happy that now we are seeing the rain coming. Manyunyu imeanza, and things, the way you have gone round, you have seen at least, and I'm happy you have even bought something from the MSCs, which of course is a testimony that you are a happy person and a happy father. So the platforms that KRA has established currently, including USSD engagements, it is now simplifying compliance on the MSCs. So those who want to go to taxation, now we are making we'll buy new batteries. So with this USSD system that the KRA has brought on board and supported by the ICT Ministry, we are happy that now the sector, we have tailor-made systems that can bring the sector into the taxation bracket. Chief Guest, in one of the countries of Asia, they have a SACCO that is called a Kaudang SACCO. And Kaudang SACCO, if you look at how they are doing it and how much taxes they are collecting from the agricultural value chains, then you will wonder why we should not go the same route. But now we have risen to the same route, so very soon you will hear a Kaudang SACCO in this country, where people will be collecting Kaudang, they will be establishing biogas digesters, they will be having enough fertility in their fields because of the Kaudang that they are putting in their digesters. And we shall be having gas in this country that can be packaged for portability so that the farmers can be using the gas and they can be pasteurizing their produce from the fields so that they cannot have post-harvest issues, so that we have handled them very clearly. Chief Guest, the MSMEs you have seen for yourself as you went round, that there is that appetite and there is the passion and pushing this agenda forward. So the theme of this event, and we are happy, the planners had put a very good theme that is going to bring this country into a revolution. So we are happy that you came as a father, and even after today, when the president was here yesterday, of course we tied up on the same agenda, and we are here to make our pronouncement that KRA is committed. Over time, we have had KRA management over time, and the changes come, and we look at the values. So currently, we are able to ring a bell and say, we are going place while this management, the new management of KRA is in place. And all we shall be looking for is the agricultural value chain that we are exhibiting today. Chief guest, you've seen for yourself, although you have not covered the whole field, but maybe again when we meet, we'll be giving you some impetus where you can pronounce, as the president will be pronouncing, you can pronounce and get the whole country running. Finally, you knew me as an advisor of the Council of Governors one time for 47 counties. We developed a report where we brought all the governors in Bomas of Kenya, and Mwanakizito is here to attest to it. And what he has just said is what's happening. We do not want to go in duplication of efforts. We have only one KRA, and we need to help the one KRA. Every country has a KRA, but our KRA, if we duplicate our KRA, then it means we shall be so thin in what we are doing. So we need to leave room for KRA to play her rightful role, and then the MSCs to play their rightful role, and the economy must grow. Thank you very much, Chief Guest, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Pana Engineer, for those inspiring comments in terms of where we are as a people. So without taking much time, Your Excellency, I'd like to pick a few questions from the people that are with us here today. So if you have any question, I want you raise your hands so that I can, yes. Yeah, you can pick that question and then, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. My question is to KRA.
Yes.
We talk about information gap. What are the plans in place, if any, to bridge that gap, especially when it comes to private sector? There's so many solutions out here that help them MSMEs to capture revenue. But MSMEs and private sector, they don't understand the tax code. What is the plan in place to pass that knowledge down to the private sector so they can help the MSMEs to make sure they're in compliance? Thank you.
Okay, about information gap, yes.
Well, my name's Fatuma Asman, a market trader. My question relies on PLWDs, that's people living with disabilities. And according to the Constitution, I think these people are exempted from paying the taxes. But what do we see? These people are still taxed. Whether it's a civil servant, unapata bado wanakuwa taxed. Whether it's a business person, bado analipia ushuru ile biashara yake na yeye ni mlemavu. What is the government doing kusaidia hawa watu ili waondoke katika ulipaji wa kodi? Number 2, kuna walemavu ambao hawajazaliwa wakiwa walemavu, lakini kwa sababu ya maisha, hali ya maisha na mambo yale hufanyika kama ajali, accident victims, na wengine unapata mtu amekuwa mlemavu bila kutarajia, kwa hivyo hakuwa katika lile kundi la walemavu. Huyo mtu, serikali inafanya nini ili kuweza kuaccommodate hao watu pia wawe wanahesabika kama walemavu? Asante.
Any more questions? Maswali ingine pale?
You can pick here.
Mimi naitwa Grace Maregu. Ningetaka kuuliza swali kuhusu KRA, kuhusu penalty. Kwa sababu saa ingine KRA pili kuhusu penalty. wakati mwingine unakuta kadi yako imechelewa. Tafadhali, ikiwa imechelewa, wewe uko hospitali, ukitoka hospitali unakuta penalty pale. Ukijaribu kuongea na uko na evidence, unaambiwa hiyo haitakubalika. Tafadhali ningeomba hiyo watu waangaliwe. Kama ulikuwa hospitali na evidence inaonekana, wacha ile penalty tafadhali isiwe pale, tafadhali.
Thank you.
One more. Kwa majina ni Thomas, I'm a trader. My question comes from the SME. I'm a small scale in the market. When then I'm paying my taxes, unapata either time unaenda kulipa tax kila siku. For example, today I've bought 50 kgs of onions. I started naanza kuuza the same day. Alafu wakati naanza kuuza nakuja nailipia that very day nimeanza kuilipia. Then kesho yake inakuja nailipia tena. And it is the same commodity. Nailipia even for a week. And the same commodity that I'm dealing with it. Nikifanya sasa hiyo kitu nikienda kuilipia, even I will not get even a single profit because I'm paying it each and every day. So nauliza hapo, mimi kama mwananchi wa kawaida niangaliwe hapo kwa kulipa tax ama kulipa ile kodi ya revenue, kwa sababu hiyo kitu napata watoto wamefukuzwa shule, sina mahali pengine pa kwenda, nimeilipia profit yote imeenda. So please, with a humble request, government, please watch on that, please. Thank you.
Swali nyingine? Okay, okay, Mheshimiwa.
Asante. My name is Mushangi, and I would like to talk about an issue now that the Council of Governors is represented here, and now that we have our very able CEC trade. Sometimes some of the people who are beginning businesses and whose businesses cut across counties, there is a very big challenge when you have a product that you want to distribute to counties, such that you require a permit. For example, if you come to Embu, for example, if you are selling water, packed water, you require a license for Embu County. If you go to Kirinyaga, you require a license for Kirinyaga County. Same case if you go to Tharaka Nithi. If you have a branded vehicle, which you are using to market and do your trade, you're required to pay for that branding in Embu County, do it in Kirinyaga County, in Tharaka Nithi County. Is there something that the Council of Governors and the CECs can do to harmonize that, so that when you have something you want to sell, you can do it with ease? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Mama County.
Thank you. Mine is a suggestion from KRA. Unaona ya kwamba mtu anaweza kuwa amelipa excess tax, but it takes forever for KRA to reimburse that money back to the person who paid. So what are the mechanisms that you are going to put in place in case nikilipa excess, or somebody alipa excess, arudishiwe mapema, badala ya mkae nayo na mjamaa anahangaika. Na kama si hivyo, basi kama mko na excess yake, mtengeneze mpango ya kwamba ile ambaye angelipa muondoe kutoka pale, umpatie balance. Asante.
Okay, I'll pick two more questions, and then we'll answer hiyo maswali, alafu labda tutamalizia hapo.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jero Nyaga. I would like to pose a question to the Commissioner General, Madam Rispa. Some of us are people born with disabilities, which are permanent. And after every 5 years, there is a requirement to renew the tax exemption certificate. And nothing has changed in me or any other person who is permanently disabled. So why can't KRI consider giving a lifelong or a permanent tax exemption certificate why be subjected to renewal of the certificate, which is a rigorous process, every now and then after 5 years? To the CEC trade, our captain, Jamal, you've proposed a new bill to regulate, various levies. Is it possible to try and harmonize all those levies that are necessary to be paid to a particular business, other than subjecting traders possibly to maybe a certain levy, and you're paying for the same business and you end up paying close to 50,000, whereas if it's harmonized, you pay one-off and maybe a lesser and a friendly, levy, so that we capture so many traders. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Tutamalizia maswali hapo kidogo, tupate manjibu kidogo, and then nitaanza. I'll start with the responses with Waziri Joma, and then I'll go to the Council of Governors, and then we'll wrap up with CS RISPA, who will wrap up this session, and then we'll proceed. Waziri Joma.
Thank you. First, I will comment on what my brother Mushangi, Mheshimiwa, amesema. In the last caucus of CECs we had at Manzoni with the Director Kizito, that issue of distribution license came in, and we had a conversation at CECs and agreed sometimes the counties are making it harder for goods and services to cut across counties. And now that we are becoming a global village, and we have even our neighboring countries, so it becomes even harder for somebody to come from Kajiado to Narok than to go to Tanzania. So we agreed that we will try and sit and harmonize those so that we make doing business easy. So again, on the branded vehicles, that also featured in the conversation, and we have agreed that we were proposing that you can only pay at the county of origin, so that when you have that license, then you are allowed to cut across the other counties. So that if a product is coming from Embu, it is allowed in all the other counties. And on the same breath, we also allow products from other counties to come to our county. And then we were also proposing a compensation model, because when we have paid taxes to the national government and products are cutting across the counties, so if more products are originating from one county, then we need to have a compensation model so that even the counties that net products also have a share of the revenue that is collected. On the consolidation of licenses, yesterday, for those of you who are here, His Excellency the President really carpeted us on the same between and the counties. I can tell you, for me, it was very easy because it was in Her Excellency's manifesto. As she was going around the county, she was listening to all the traders, and one of the most painful part about doing business in this county and in this country is the multiplicity and duplication of licenses. So we have almost agreed that we will first start with a Huduma-like model, so that all the departments that have a stake in the licensing process are brought under one roof, so that when you are applying for your license, you don't need to visit 2 offices. You just need to visit 1. After that is successful, then we can also leverage on technology and migrate that to the online platform, so that you are able to apply for your license. If it needs any vetting, the system will prompt the officer to come to your place and vet. And after the vetting has been approved, you can continue the process from the comfort of your business and even generate the permit after you have paid through our cashless system. So that is it for me.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
Asante sana, Waziri. Just in case Waziri has left out something on inter-county businesses.
Thank you. First, I must acknowledge that all the counties want to create an environment where businesses can thrive. And the national conversation, first of all, removed the revenue enhancement as one of the criteria for counties to get more money out of the equalization fund. Not equalization, the equitable share. So that resolved by CRA, National Treasury, and the Council of Governors to remove that appetite for enhanced revenue, for me, helped. But going forward, Your Excellency, Prime CS, this conversation on the multiplicity of taxes started during the last regime. There was a task force that was created by the CS then Trade. The matter must have lapsed with the former government, and therefore it has been a little quiet for the time being. So I would wish, therefore, that Prime CS and the CS in charge of trade, jointly with the chair of the Trade Committee of the Council of Governors, Her Excellency Wavinya Ndeti, reinstate this conversation so that from the proposals that are coming from the CECs, we can now advance that to create a framework where we facilitate trade across the country. Number two, Your Excellency, Prime CS, the consolidation of licenses becomes very difficult. One, we have fully devolved functions that national government is still licensing. Can we then have a conversation as the two levels of government on who is supposed to license? I'll give you an example. The Dairy Board still exists. It still licenses. The AFA Authority still exists. It still licenses. Cooperative sector, the coffee, they still license. Those are fully devolved functions. So when this haggle between national government and county government on who is supposed to levy what kind of licenses still exist within the ecosystem, again, we're challenging county governments, but we are not reciprocating, having a one conversation where we agree as a country that there are many licenses that need to be removed. Maybe we allow the county governments to license, and we harmonize those to create one licensing regime that then facilitates trade across the country. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director. You have raised a very important issue. So before we wrap up, James, please respond and make some comments on the issues that have been raised, touching on the National Treasury.
Thank you. I will like to complement what has been said, but basically looking at the harnessing MSMEs and the informal sectors. We started by saying that there is that gap that needs to be covered if we were to enhance the base for revenue correction by enhancing productivity and production. Some of the aspects, for example, is aggregation of products to enhance marketing, and that's already gone to the plan that is going to, and if you looked at the beta and if you looked at the manifesto, the government manifesto speaks to that. The other bit is on the quality of these products that the MSMEs and the informal sector are peddling. And there is gap, technical gaps, and even managerial. So it's an aspect that is being handled, looking forward as a vision. The clustering of the products based on the value chains is also another aspect that is going to help in promoting productivity and the quality. But not also forgetting the aspect of the SMEs parks, where you can bring different practitioners together and provide a platform and facilities for those that may not have it. And it also does help, especially in case of the cottage industries. Lastly, is basically what has been addressed by colleague panelist here regarding harmonization of licensing, which is cutting across everyone, and modifying tax processes so that there is compliance across the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, James. Okay, one more, just less than a minute, please.
Again, Chief Guest, I think even as you complain about revenue and collections, we need to take advantage of what the world is focusing on. What are we selling to get money and to tax it? Uganda, they eat grasshoppers. Kenya has the best environment for breeding grasshoppers as an emerging livestock, so the youth can engage into farming grasshoppers. Then we can tax the process. Chinese eat cockroach, which is our menace. Nobody's taking advantage of that, so that we can look at cockroach as a tax generator, so that as we talk about money, how do we make money? So Kenya is hosting the biggest value chain on agriculture than any other region in this area. But we are not taking advantage of value addition and then taxing in the processes and enterprise development in the processes. So as we talk about our goodwill we are seeking from you, Bwana Chief Guest, we want that goodwill. And then we want KRA to move in and identify where to get the taxes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for opening for us new frontiers of food security. Now we'll ask the Commissioner General to respond to the issues that have been raised, and then get the final closing remarks from Waziri Njama to end this session. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Moderator. Your Excellency, you know, it's not always that you get someone just going up and up in the positive direction about KRA, and when you hear those positive sentiments, you first stop to take it in. So thank you, Engineer. I believe we'll have more ambassadors out there. And looking also at the questions that have been raised here, 5 out of 6 actually are directed at KRA. That, for me, is supposed to be a positive message and also feedback for us as an organization. That where we sit pretty or sit comfortably thinking that we have done X, it means we can do Y and Z. So there's not much more to be done. And I'll start with a question from the gentleman on information gap. What are we doing about it? So first and foremost, what we're trying to do as KRA, and I think also I had even the CC for Embu say, that what we are trying to do is make our processes simpler, easier, more efficient, and above all, friendly. So one, we do not have one answer or one size that fits all. And this has been made possible by the feedback that we continue to get. So one, technology. We appreciate that not everybody can access a computer. Not everybody can access a desktop or a laptop or whatever. But then looking at our MSMEs, what can we do to make their life easier? *572#, USSD. A number of us have a smart gadget, whatever form or shape it comes in. Now that one targets that category of people. So even to Mama there, with regard to the return filing, those are some of the things, again, technology making the process easier, simpler. Round tables. I talked about a round table that happened in April, and that was targeting, again, MSMEs. And why are we going this direction? Because as I said, 40% of GDP, 15% contribution to domestic taxes, 6% only for those who have a turnover of 50 and below, and majority in the informal sector. So could we be losing this very critical category of people because of the information gap? So we had to tailor-make our services in a way that then we can penetrate in this particular category. So round tables, I've talked about Ushuru Mashinani. How can we reach you? Come closer, bring the services closer to the people. As an organization, we have what we call tax the footprint of them. Over and above, so these are our offices. So for example, the Embu office here. Now, over and above that, we've taken advantage of the Huduma centers. Huduma centers are very well spread across the country, and there are about 52 of them in total. What we do, over and above the TSOs, we have created our presence and brought our services closer to the people through the Huduma centers. Meaning, if this is information that you cannot get online, by all means, go to the closest facility, excuse me, that you can access. KRA TV. We recently launched, actually last year, not recently, last year, we launched what we call the KRA TV. Again, our web-based facility. A lot of information, if you can get in there. It runs 24 hours. You can get as a lot of information in there, and that can help also, again, demystify. Having said that, that is not the end. The answers to some of these million-dollar questions actually sit with us here. And so our doors remain open, our call help desk is open to give us information on how then can we, again, make our information and our data to the granular, so that then we can reach every mwananchi who is there then to help facilitate our government. Our mom there asked about penalties. Mom, ulisema kwamba ulikuwa hospitalini na provide evidence na bado ukapata penalty. Ningependa kwamba kujulisha, Kiswahili changu si kizuri kama yule mama aliyekaa pale, lakini nitajitahidi. Penalties sio kwamba kuna mtu ambaye yuko kwenye system anakuwekea penalty ukichelewa kufile. Hiyo system imetengenezwa vile kwamba kuna siku ambazo zimetengwa za kulipa ushuru na kufile return. So ukipitisha ile siku, automatically system inakuwekea penalty. So kwamba mtu anakaa pale anamsubiri mama si file return alafu tunakugonga na penalty, hapana. Ni system yenyewe inaelewa kwamba ikifika tarehe 20 hujalipa ushuru, hujafile return, nayo inajua kwamba hapa kuna kitu kijafanywa. So system yenyewe inakuwekea. But hata kama nilivyosema kwamba kuna sheria ambayo inakuruhusu ku-apply, utanisamee nikichanganya Kiswahili na Kiingereza, for waiver, kwamba kusamehewa hiyo penalty. Lakini inabidi utoe evidence, total evidence. Kama ulivyosema, unaonyesha kwamba ulikuwa hospitalini, ulikuwa nini, ama kuna sababu nyingine ambazo hazikukuwezesha kufaili ile return au kulipa ushuru. So ile lazima uifikishe, uweke kwenye, na lazima iwe kwenye system. Kwa sababu sasa hivi tunasema kulipa ushuru inabidi uilipe kwenye system, kufile return inabidi utumie system na inaitwa iTax. Mtu yote asije kwako kukuambia kwamba nitakufailia return ama naomba hela pesa kiasi fulani niende nikulipie. Hapo atakuwa amekudanganya. Ni wewe na system, whether ni pay bill au unataka kwenda kwa bank, kwa njia yote vile ni wewe uifile na ulipe mwenyewe kutoka kwenye simu yako. Now, nimesema kwamba kwenye simu kuna hiyo *572#. Hiyo inakusaidia kufile return yako. Hapo ulipokaa mama tu akifanya *572#, utaweza kufile return. Ukiwa hospitalini, umekaa, utaweza kufile return. Ukiwa kwenye shughuli zako kwenye kibanda, utafile return. But kumbuke kwamba lazima ufile return kwa sababu tarehe ile imetengwa kisheria kwamba usipofile utapata penalty. There was a question around people living with disability. The mom at the back there. People living with disability, it is actually in law that you get exemptions, but you have to be vetted by the council. That council is the people living disability that is responsible for vetting you. Meaning it is that council you provide documents to, and the minute they vet you and give that approval, that is the document that you will use to apply for your exemption. Again, what have we done? To ensure that you do not have to wake up from the comfort of your home to go to the office. Again, it is a system. That application, you can do it online. So nobody has to intervene. The only thing, even in attaching your evidence, because for us, we do not have the capability or capacity to validate whether it is short-term disability or long-term. But then there are those professionals who do that. Again, I know that they do that annually, And our team in KRA has been part of that process, because whenever the council is doing the vetting across the country, they invite us to join them. And all we do from our side is vet the documents provided by you, vetted and approved by the council. So that is what you rely on, ma'am. But the position is the law, yes, recognizes that and indeed grants you that exemption. But there is that step that you must tick. Commodity attracting multiple taxes. When I listened to you, I thought it sounded more of a county issue. And I think, yes, because when you talk about the daily permits and revenue, it sounded more of a county, because from where we sit, sisi kama KRA, ours is to collect taxes based on what you have declared as your profits. So that is the only point we come in, and we interact with you through your PIN, but not on the daily aspect. There was a question from Mama County. Mama County, thank you. Actually, you talked about taking time to reimburse. And this is where sometimes I say, KRA, we have a key role to play, but probably we also need to break it down on where our role starts and ends. So there are instances, yes, where you have an overpayment with KRA, but then it takes long to be reimbursed. So KRA as an institution facilitates collection of taxes. Now this collection of taxes, and that's why I'm trying to hammer in as much as I can, it should be done on the system. You should never give anyone your money to go and pay for you. It is system-based. And as such then, even that which we refund, based after we validated that amounts are due and payable to you, we refund, but we are given an allocation by our parent ministry. So the parent ministry is the collector. So for us, we coordinate it on the screen. That's how close we come to that money. The screen and the reports and ensuring compliance. So anything that has gone through someone's hand, that didn't go through the screen, and as such, the account that money goes is to the exchequer account at the central bank. So what we do as KRA, we rely on that funding. So on our side, we will validate based on what you have given us, how you have proven that indeed an overpayment is due and payable to you, and then we reach out. Normally, Treasury would give us, like for corporation tax, domestic taxes, for example, we get a quarterly allocation. For VAT, on the other hand, we get a monthly allocation. And on our side, we will vet, validate, confirm that it is due and payable, process it, and then pack it awaiting funding. Immediately that funding comes, we push it to you. However, on to your next point is, if that then becomes a challenge, what can we do differently? Can't you allow an offset? I am actually happy to let you know that offsets are happening. So where you can actually come to us and say, there is an offset here, you owe me, offsets are happening. And that one has been done deliberately to ease the pressure on the businesses, because we cannot kill the goose that lays the golden egg. I need you and everyone else here to allow me to come back tomorrow and collect more. So that is going on. Question to Nyaga. Nyaga, you had a question on why can't we have a long-term certificate? Excuse me. And I will borrow, I'll build onto the question. I said, who then gives us that approval to certify you as a person living with disability, short-term or long-term? It is a council. Why have we put intervals? Now, the whole topic of exemption certificates, it is an old story. And previously, it was manual. And unfortunately, not just for people living with disabilities, because there are certain incomes in our law that are exempt. So what happened is, some people, you know, and this I just say, not to Kenyans, human beings, we are interesting people. We'll always find a way to beat the system. So what people would do, honestly and frankly, and I'm saying this without fear of contradiction, is that people will create their own certificates. So what then we did was, how can we automate that process? So first we started by automating the process. Secondly, to ensure that at every given interval, it is you, Nyaga, who is benefiting based on that certificate. If we gave it long term, you'd hear about ghost workers, goes to taxpayers, and the government continues to bleed dry. So that has been put there as a control. And my plea to you, don't take it as a punishment. It is also to protect you, who should genuinely get that exemption, as opposed to someone else elsewhere who is getting it and should not be benefiting from it. So most importantly, it is now automated. You do not have to come to the office to do that. Thank you very much, Moderator.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate this session. And there are very many questions that can be asked. Mheshimiwa, you'll excuse me. Yes. Yes.
I'm just asking, this the same way you are telling us that, that there's a system that you can do 1, 2, 3 when it comes to revenue. Why can't you apply the same system when we are doing the offsetting, so that the bureaucratic process is not too long for these guys?
I'll answer that very briefly. Again, Mama County, the same story. It is a painful process, even the vetting to us. But our people have created documents. Tax, that was last year. Tax invoice management system was gadget-based. Again, an additional cost to MSMEs, because you had to buy a device depending on the magnitude of your transaction. You have to buy a device probably ranging anything between 25,000 to 150, 170, depending on your transactions. And when we had that plea, we thought to ourselves, why not make this even simpler? Info. Right now, from 1st of February 2023, we rolled out something called e-Teams. So it is still the same, but now anytime you issue a VAT invoice, that is done on, it's web-based. It is an application that is loaded on your smart gadget, whatever it is. My plea to you is, as you're going into business, please use that so that it will come back to answer Mama County's question that going forward, even that as you bringing documents to validate that indeed you incurred an expense, that is wiped out, because your invoice is a tax invoice based on e-Teams at no cost to you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And therefore, this conversation continues in our social media. You have a hashtag. They can ask you questions, and on Facebook and all that. Anyway, we will send that.
How we can be reached, Grace? Quickly.
And as she says that, I want to appreciate my panelists, and I want to ask them now, we can pretty much go back to our seats, and then I'll hand over after he has said how you can reach and continue the conversation with the KRA. I'll hand over to the MC. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. You can reach us at KRA Care on social media. You can reach us here through all Huduma centers and our office that is at Cargo House, so that you can be able to interact with us. So we are reachable. When you get to our social profile, you'll also see the telephone number of our contact center that is operational 24 hours. Sorry, Mugo House, not Cargo House, Mugo House. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor. Tuwapigeni makofi tafadhali. for that amazing panel. Your Excellency, with your permission, allow me to go to the next part of the discussion. And I'd like to call our moderator, Andrew Lewela, CEO Nick, to take us through. Karibu sana sa. Makofi tafadhali ya Bwana CEO anapokuja.
Asante sana Bwana Chipukizi. To our chief guest, Prime Cabinet Secretary, our governor and your team, Principal Secretary, ICT and the Digital Economy, wananchi hamjambo. I'm glad to be here in Embu, and very quickly I'll call upon my panelists. It's an exciting panel with the young and the old to make their way. I think they know themselves, but I'll go through my list very quickly. I'll start with the acting CEO at Konza Technopolis, Bwana JP Karibu, John Paul. Quickly following him, CEO ICT Authority, Stani Kamanguya, Karibu. We have one of our beneficiaries from the Ajira program, Faith Mukami. Please make your way. Bwana Morris Mwiti, Gamma Solutions CEO, representing the youth in tech-enabled MSMEs. Karibu sana. And we have from Google, Bwana Michael Murungi, Government Affairs and Public Policy Lead. Karibu. And from the county of Embu, we have Bwana Martin Jeru, who is the ICT Chief Officer and Governor Delivery Unit. I think my team is complete. Bwana Chipukizi, because this is ICT, we'll do some exciting things and move very quickly, and hopefully plenary pia waweze kuuliza maswali. So a good place for me to start will be on the government side, and then we'll have the youth and private sector respond. I'll start with you, Stanley. The government is talking a lot about the digital economy. Kwa yule mwananchi ambaye yuko hapa, for the MSMEs, please unpack for us what this digital economy is. We know you have a blueprint you've recently launched. What does it mean to the people of Embu and Kenya, please?
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And everybody, good afternoon. The digital economy is basically our view in terms of the way technology is going to enable every sector of our economy, from agriculture, trade, education, and so on, to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that exist in the digital space. In very few words, that is what the digital economy is all about. And we believe that this space is going to be the biggest and the next frontier of growth for all sectors. And for us, we have set up a number of initiatives for us to support the digital economy. And if you allow me, moderator, I'm just going to quickly run through 3 of them. The first one is around connectivity, where our main objective is to increase connectivity across the country and also reduce the costs of that connectivity. I think yesterday you heard His Excellency the President talking about the issue of public Wi-Fi, which we are providing across all markets and all open areas for the traders and people in business to be able to have access, free access to the internet. But even as we do that, the small and medium enterprises who are also operating offices also need connection at affordable rates. So we also have other programs where we are driving connectivity reach. Now, in terms of spurring trade, we are saying providing connectivity alone is not sufficient. We need to bundle it with the services that needs to be consumed through this connectivity. For the traders and the small-scale traders and businesses, we have a number of platforms which we have developed. One of them is an e-commerce portal where traders can be able to go online, register, and be able to break the boundaries, the physical boundaries. So for example, if you're in Embu, you can be able to register on the portal, put your merchandise online, and that immediately gives you access not only to customers in the country, but also customers across the world. So we are breaking that trade barrier through technology. Already, we have onboarded a number of traders in Embu. We have an exhibition booth here where we are onboarding traders, but you can get the services online through gconnectsoko.go.ke, and you can be able to interact with it. The other aspect is the work that we are doing to bring services of government online. And I'm glad that KRA has already touched on some of the automation efforts that are ongoing. And the reason why we're doing this first is for businesses to be able to go into one place and, for example, be able to do all their business registration and make interactions easier. You had the issue of moving from one office to another when people want to register. So that will also ease, promote the ease of doing business, but also allow, when we do business registration with integration with the tax systems, the county systems, will allow also compliance so that the county people and also the KRA people don't have to come and chase the traders. All that will also lead to, increase in revenue. The third and maybe more critical area which we are supporting businesses in is the area of digital skills. Because we are saying, even if you're a trader and we give you internet and you don't know how to use the internet, you don't know what to do with it, then we will not be helping you. So we have a very elaborate program to train our citizens on the basic skills. Then we move to the area of online jobs. And we have the Ajira program, which has been running by government. I know most of you know about the Ajira program. But what we have seen is the kind of jobs that our young people are doing are mostly data entry, transcriptions, and so on. There are a lot of other interesting and more revenue-generating jobs that are online, including the issues of digital content and digital marketing, which we are training, our young people to take advantage of and be able to scale. I think in the interest of time, I'll take a pause there, and then I can allow the panelists to proceed.
Thank you, Stanley, for painting that picture of what the digital economy is and what it portends to Mwananchi. We have a testimony here for what you just mentioned there on the Ajira program. Faith, I understand you're from Bere. You finished your Form 4. You embarked on this journey on the Ajira program. In 2 or 3 minutes, tell us what your experience was and what was that, can I call it, the final destination. What has it meant for you? Have you realized the benefits of a Ajira program? Please share with the youth.
Okay, thank you, moderator. His Excellency, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. My name is Faith, as you've heard. I'm a Form 4 leaver. I left Form 4 back in 2017. Hustle, teseka, kidogo, kidogo, until I learned about Ajira in 2021, January. That is when I was trained and mentored. And 2021, as from March, I started working as a transcriber in the Judiciary Pilot Project. I think you've all heard about it. My journey is quite kadogo. So I'll say the Ajira program has benefited me as an individual in terms of employment, because as you all know, in Kenya kupata job ni ngumu, and we have people who can, maybe anaweza kuambia kuna job opportunity, but if I go and tell someone, unaweza nisaidia nipate job fulani, they ask me, uko na papers? And so it's kind of hard since I only have a Form 4 certificate. So I opted the online space because haihitaji karatasi mingi, just basic computer skills and basic English, if I may say that. So I've been working as a transcriber for the last, let's say, two or more years, since 2021. And I'm benefiting, I'm earning, like, on the online platforms, it's a livable amount since it's like between 25 to 35,000 a month. So that's a livable amount from where I live, because niko Mbere, so living standards haziko juu sana. I come from Mbere South, Kiambere ward to be specific. So I think when you wanajua those places, mnajua economy haiko juu sana, tuko na ndengu kwa shamba. So I don't have to buy everything. Thank you.
Thank you for that testimony. I want to bring in Google here. Many of us who are online have heard of Google. And I think getting a segue from that testimony, Michael, we know Google is known for organizing information for us, and content creation, which is part of what Faith is doing online, is something that you are also part of. So please speak to those opportunities you see online as a big player, multinational, and how you're also collaborating with the government efforts for the digital economy.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Your Excellency, Madam Governor, all assembled guests. In terms of collaborating with government on digital transformation, Stanley has talked about some infrastructure. We have been supporting government a lot on extending the infrastructure for connectivity, especially in government institutions. In fact, just this week, we were briefing CS Owalo on the conclusion of a project in which we've helped connect 90 government institutions to the government national fiber backbone through a $5 million grant. And then on digital skills, we are working with the Ministry of Education to bring Android developer training to TVET institutions, so that beyond training our young people in TVETs on the skills like hand-based skills, we also want them to be a source of developers who will take Kenya to the next frontier as destination for coding and tech startups. The other opportunities that are also available for young people, in fact, right now, if you go on Google and search for Google Africa Digital Skills, you find so many courses that you can take for free, from the basic on what it means to be online, on how online can transform your job, to even how you can be a developer. And these are courses that even someone like Faith can take, and anyone else here can take for free and build their skills. We are supporting the government's Presidential Digital Talent Program administered by Stanley's organization here with scholarships for all the interns. We are providing scholarships through the Google Career Certificate. Google Career Certificate is a very highly regarded course. It would normally cost $14 per month. For every month you have to be doing it. Normally it would take about 6 months to take. And we are offering scholarships for everyone, and it's actually regarded as one of the most marketable certifications out there. So yeah, those are the ways in which we are engaging and partnering, and the opportunities available online.
Thank you, Michael, for helping us understand the collaboration between the private sector and the government. And you mentioned the Jitume project, skills development. And this brings me to you, JP. I know Konza is at the heart of that program with TVETs. And for those who are maybe in this area, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that. And as you tackle that, everyone knows Konza is really our flagship for smart cities. And maybe you can touch around what that master planning process has been. Is it for real? ama ni kipindi, as vijana wangeuliza, ama ni kipindi re. And what that, how it dovetails into the urban planning and the housing vision that the government has. Over to you.
Thank you, Andrew, the moderator. Our Prime Cabinet Secretary, Excellency the Governor, all protocols observed. In Konza Technopolis, we've been able to plan for the Africa Smartest City, and it began a while back through the Vision 2030 planning process. It also had to do with the feasibility study that was conducted in a way that has been defined by international standards, and that has defined most of the guidelines, all the guidelines that we've had as far as planning, master planning for the master city is concerned. While we are doing master planning for the city, it has been done in a way that we first began by looking at the number. What is the population that we intended to serve? And that now goes into the planning, where we are now able to allocate the various parcels and utilities that are involved for the population. So that has helped us to define the infrastructure that we are putting in place, because we know we are putting infrastructure in place to serve a particular number of people. And basically that is what urban planning is all about, where you plan for the future. You don't plan for the numbers that you have. In other words, most of our cities, they developed in a way that the population came first, and then now we were rushing back to put in the utilities. But in Konza Technopolis, we started by having the infrastructure in place, and that is what we've done currently. And therefore, we are ready now to host the investors and the population that will come into it. In phase one, we've planned for 17,000 residents, but at full build-out, we'll be having 240,000 residents that will be facilitated. All our infrastructure, as far as water reticulation, the water treatment plant, the roads, and also the utilities that we've laid with the population, intended population in mind. So as far as benchmarking with the other county governments that are currently in the process of planning their cities, it is important that we plan our cities, we master plan our cities first, then now we are able to develop the infrastructure. We don't have to wait for the population to come in and then now try to fix in the utilities. So that is what we'd encourage, that going forward, our counties are able to take that into account. Now, you mentioned Jitume program, which we are currently enrolling and deploying. Basically, the Jitume program was launched by His Excellency the President in December. And in the phase one, Jitume program is about enhancing digital literacy in our population. And it seeks to provide the devices to the youth, and also provide digital training skills to the youth. And eventually, the ultimate goal is to link the youth with the digital jobs. In the world over, we have about 10 million jobs, approximately, that is currently not tapped. Most of the digital jobs are currently deployed in India and Philippines, and not because they were better than us, but it's that as a country we had not looked at the knowledge economy as an aspect. And therefore, Jitume program seeks to provide the digital literacy that will help our citizens to have the skills in readiness for embracing the digital jobs that we are looking at. In phase one, we've been able to target the TVET institutions, and we targeted the TVET institution just to see how the program would roll out. And basically, because TVETs were already have the necessary infrastructure, the connectivity, and the students in place. And therefore, it's easy. It made it easy to roll out the program. And currently, we've done 56 institutions, about 5,100 devices in the phase 1. And we intend that by end of June, we shall have done at least 2 TVETs per county, so that the program is spread all over the country. Now, in phase 2, we intend now to work together with our counterparts at ICT Authority to roll out the smart hubs, which in the plan, under the digital superhighway, we have about 1,400 digital hubs that will be rolled out. So phase 2, as phase 2 will begin immediately, we'll be able now to establish the digital hubs. And this is done to inspire our population and the youth to embrace digital skills and digital jobs, because the government is working towards providing these digital jobs to the youth. And currently, through the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Labor, we are able to start aggregating the jobs that will be needed. This training is free for all and is free for anyone and everyone who is interested. And you don't have to have had an ICT background. It's a program that seeks to provide us with the initiative to have self-drive, to be able to get gainful employment. Thank you.
Thank you, JP. Msichoke, tunamalizia sasa. So I have 2 more quick questions and then I'll throw it to the plenary. Sababu ya wakati, maswali yatakuwa mawili tu na mtanisamea sababu ya wakati. Let me jump to you, Martin, because you're in the county. I'm sure with colleagues in the national government, there are things you're doing also for Embu County. In a very short period of time, highlight 1 or 2 of the flagships that speak to the MSMEs in Embu County so that they are aware.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Moderator. Honorable CS, Prime CS. Yes, we are doing a lot of stuff in Embu County to ensure that the youth and the MSMEs are engaged in the digital world. One of the things we are doing is that we have ensured that the ICT and the digital space has been included in the CIDP program. So Her Excellency the Governor has included e-commerce portals and the skill set portal to ensure that all the skills we have within the youth and the MSMEs are covered. I'll put up there to the world to see what Embu County can do in terms of ICT. Now, the other thing we are doing is what my Waziri stated here, that we are automating the whole business permit and payment processes, and we are actually coming up with a self-service portal that will be rolled out, whereby our MSMEs can be able to connect to that portal and be able to get their licenses, and we'll connect with the ICT authority with the e-commerce portal so that it is a seamless application. So once you come to us or once you go online, you'll apply for your business permit. That permit, connects you to the government portal as well as our own portal, and you are able to register there and you can be able to do your business online. And for youth like those who are going through the Ajira program, we'll be asking you to assist us in the villages to make sure that the businesses that are in those villages are able to register online and they are able to get their licensing online. Now, the other thing we are doing is we are collaborating with the multinationals. Already this week, we have Meta, who is the owner of Facebook, coming to do training at the Talent Academy, whereby we encourage all those people who are in businesses or who have set up their own businesses to come to the Talent Academy on Tuesday. We'll be having a training from Facebook, and they'll show you how to do your business online. And there are so many other programs we are coming up with Google and all the other multinationals to make sure that our youth here are trained on digital platforms. Thank you.
Thank you for the brevity. Na wale vijana mko hapa, you know where to find mheshimiwa for more details. Last but definitely not least, Bwana Mweti, your company stands for tech-enabled SMEs. Wacha nikupatie dakika mbili uhubirie wenzako hapa vijana. So what are those opportunities you think they should not be missing out, listening to government, listening to the county? Najua utakuwa chap.
I will. His Excellency the Prime CS, Madam Governor, and Moderator, thank you very much for this opportunity. I think I will be very brief because most of the things that I'll be saying they've been said by the government side. I'll be mentioning Ajira and the other Jitume program. I think the young people need to tap on that knowledge, and it's free. And I am also happy to understand that even the counties are coming in this process of training people, and it's free. I want to talk to the young people. It is good to get that knowledge and to watch the government on whatever they are doing, and especially the ICT board, the ICT authority, with the upcoming, I think they want to install over 5,000 Wi-Fi hotspot or something. I think it's so nice. The SMEs, MSMEs, it is nice to, it is good to follow up on the Huduma. I'll be mentioning Huduma centers. It is good to register your businesses, and mostly the young people, they are not aware that the process of registering a business shouldn't be expensive, and you don't need to go and get conned by people up there. Just land on at the Huduma centers, you will get all the services you need there. Now from there, KRA to pay your taxes, and I think that's all. With the knowledge that you've been getting from Ajira and the rest, I think you'll be able to be able to sell yourself online, and regardless of what you are selling, it doesn't have to be that you are selling ICT products. I think everyone right now has a phone, and whoever needs anything, the first thing they do, they go and try and research Google. So now, after you register your businesses, you have complied with the tax, now go register your website and you are ready. Thank you.
Asante sana. Kama uko na burning question, burning, ile ya kuchoma, Chipukizi atakupatia microphone.
Yes.
Please, just 2 quick questions, rapid fire, and then I hand it back over to Chipukizi. Iko swali tafadhali?
There is one there.
Okay.
And there is another
and
one
a second
there.
one. Okay. Thank you.
Tunaweza tukaanza na huyo.
Swali peke yake, usitupatie ile background na commentary, swali tu.
Okay. Swali yangu, I have a question concerning artificial intelligence. You have talked about the ICT, and one of the challenges that we are facing, it's a global challenge, is on artificial intelligence, and the roaming issue of loss of jobs in artificial intelligence. So how is the government able, and how, what are the policies that are going to regulate AI, because it is mainstream na inakuja to revolutionize the market? Number 2 is on cryptocurrency. Kama sasa I am unemployed, though mini graduate, but niko unemployed, so na delve into trading and digital economy. So nauliza hivi, is it safe to invest, or rather in cryptocurrency, and is it regulated by the government? Thank you.
Asante. The other question that was
in
the middle here?
Okay, thank you. My name is Joel Ruta from Kericho. I want to put my questions to the 2 officers there. In Kericho County, okay, you've talked about public internet connectivity. We have one in Kericho, in Kericho County, but yes, the infrastructure is there, but that internet is not accessible. That's one. Number 2, in Kericho County also in 20 some years back, they rolled out a wide area network that was touching all the sub-counties. But today, we've never seen the benefit of that wide area network. So the youth that were supposed to benefit from that white area network through business outsourcing, as you've just said, up to date, they have no hope. Thank you.
Thank you. Mtaniwia radhi kwa leo tukubali hao maswali. Nafikiri Bwana Stanley utachukua maswali. Alafu tumalizie.
Thank you very much. The gentleman who talked about AI. Indeed, AI is a threat, but is also a huge opportunity for us. And every technology revolution presents this kind of opportunities and also threat for those of us who do not adopt. One of the skills that we are training people under the Jitume program in collaboration with Konza is actually what we call machine learning. Training machines so that they can be able over time to do the work that human beings do. So that means the person who is doing that work, if they do not learn new skills, they will not have work to do. And that applies for all of us. So the challenge then is that we need to take advantage of the digital space to be able to see this trade that I do, what can I do with it through technology-enabled tools. And, you know, from a policy perspective, we do have a government task force that was established in the last administration. And I believe maybe our PS will be able to touch on that in terms of implementation of those recommendations going forward. But in addition to that, and JP mentioned the digital hubs. The idea behind the digital hubs is to train people on these new emerging technologies. One of the partners that we are working with on the area of online jobs says that so far they have over 10,000 jobs, but there are no takers. Now, when we go to the establishment of these hubs, we want to spur the online job market in all areas, including AI, the areas that the teams in Jajira are already participating on, but also other professionals. Today, we have a lot of outsourcing by some of our companies from India, Philippines, and so on, in terms of the areas of finance and accounting and other processes, but we are not seeing the same here. And not only those deemed white-collar jobs, also the other jobs of, you know, masons, plumbing, and so on and so forth. There are opportunities there which we can be able to take up. But we also hope that we should be able, through these hubs, to train other people, and then we spur and encourage them to also set up their own private hubs. We assist them to aggregate jobs, and then we scale up with the help of the entrepreneurs. On the area of cryptocurrency, again, this is another frontier in terms of trading and investments. The Central Bank of Kenya have issued certain guidelines and regulations. I think there's some laws that are being progressed. The advice is that you check with the central bank before you put your money into cryptocurrency. They have already at least started the process of authorizing those people who you can be able to engage with. There's an issue raised on public Wi-Fi not being accessible. One of the biggest challenges that we have faced when we are implementing these public Wi-Fis is the issue of power, where we install the public Wi-Fi, and then probably we have done it in a market, and then there's nobody, because the equipment requires, you know, power. So that where we install these gadgets, then also, because, you know, in those markets, there are security lights. and there are other recurring bills that are paid. And we are having a conversation in terms of, can then that be accommodated as part of that. But in the long term, we are looking at sustainable solutions. And we do have technologies that allow us to pair our devices with solar power so that we can be able to sustainably deploy this. But as I close, and it's something that Your Excellency, you mentioned in another forum we were in, is that we are willing to cede control even as we implement these initiatives. We are going to be involving a lot of the small and medium scale enterprises in this process so that they can also help us to scale the internet connectivity, the digitization effort, and so on and so forth. Thank you very much.
Makofi kwa panelists wangu wote na makofi mengine kwa chief guest wetu governor kwa kuvumilia. Nafikiri wakati mwingine tunasahau speech zinakuja mwanzo alafu tunaongea makini sana. Build all of you to trust in our brand.ke na nyote tukutane wapi? Kwa mtandao. Chipukizi, kazi kwako.
Asante sana. Wapi makofi ya CEO tafadhali? Thank you so much, sir, for taking us through that session. I'm being told that tumekuwa live on KBC, Your Excellency, so people at home are able to follow the conversation. Thank you so much, KBC, for making sure that we stream live at home. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite the area MP, Mr. Kujituma. Allow me to call you that, sir. Pigeni makofi mheshimiwa anapokuja kuchukua the next part of the program. Karibu, sir.
Thank you very much, Chipukizi. Our panel, kwa wageni ambao wako hapa, mimi naitwa Gitonga Mukunji. Mimi ndio mbunge wa hii area na nafurahia sana that we are in Embu na tuongei maneno ya huku siasa ya huku kidogo kidogo. We are talking about the Kenyan economy, the Kenyan revenue, Kenyan jobs. I think that is the best conversation that has ever happened in Embu. Clap for yourselves. I was very keen on the KRA panel that was talking about revenue, and I wanted to ask a question, then I said it's not important. But I think everybody is willing to pay taxes. And I hope when they pay taxes, the most important thing is to see value for what they pay. There's nothing more satisfying than paying for something, then getting the results. So our good friends from KRA, si hatuna shida, tutalipa ushuru, lakini hiyo ushuru tuone maendeleo. Na huku Embu hatuna shida sana kwa sababu already we have seen good benefits of the taxes we pay. We have seen the stadium, tumepata soko, tumepata affordable housing. So we are going in the right direction. I think from there all we need to do is escalate that and build it up mpaka pale tutaweza kufika. And I'm happy with the clarion call from the top going to our guest today, Chief Cabinet Secretary. They are talking very tough. Na wale watu wanafikiria wanaweza haribu pesa ya wananchi. And please clap for them. Before we used to have these threats where somebody can come, pesa imepotea, lakini tunaambiwa ngoja hii wakati, lakini at the end hiyo story inapotelea. But we have seen from the few mentions that I've had, hiyo maneno inachukuliwa serious. I would like to send you Bwana Prime Cabinet Secretary. Please, nataka mfunge hiyo tab kabisa. Hakuna pesa hata moja inafaa kupotea yenye hawa watu wanatoa kama ushuru. Wafunge kabisa, ama wafanye nini? Si ni kweli? Now, the other thing is on the issue of ICT. And I can see the PS is here. I want you to take Embu County as the pilot ya hii maneno yote ya ICT. Wewe utabidi utafutie ofisi hapa na Madam Governor, ukujange hapa, tuhakikishe this is where people are coming to see what the ICT department is doing in Kenya. Utaitikia hiyo maneno? Sindio? Because we know the potential we have. And the good thing is in Embu and the leadership we have had a very nice relationship where we can be able to ensure that this is where things can actually be started and then they can be escalated to other places. And I think that is very important. Otherwise, I want to call Madam, I first want to have our leaders. I know we are out of time, but we have leaders here, Your Excellency. Please, would you mind if they say one word? Introduce them. All right. Thank you very much. I think I'll start with our county women rep, our county member of parliament, anaitwa Madam N. Mpigieni makofi. Nitakuja kwa Mheshimiwa Karemba wa Runyenjes, mpigieni makofi na mpigieni nduru. Then tuko na Mondigi, our senator, Kava Mondigi tuonaga. I think it's also important to recognize the chairman of Intergovernmental Relations Committee, Bwana Kithenji Kirago. We have the chairman of Kenya Dairy Board, anaitwa Genesio Morioki Mogo. Then I have seen my good friend and brother, Bwana John Moshiri, who is now the current CAS wa forestry. Well, I don't want to forget Ken this time around. I'm looking for him. Okay. We have Ken Muige, the CEO of Vision 2030. All those are our sons, and I hope I've not forgotten anybody. Asante sana. Because of time, I want to take this opportunity to actually invite Madam Governor. And tumefurahia sana huku Embu kukuwa na ma-DVD. Ma-DVD huku bwana ufanye huku ni nyumbani. Utembee kabisa. Nitahakikisha nyama choma iko sawa kila kitu. Asante sana, Mungu awabariki. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mheshimiwa Mukonji. Please allow me to give the apologies of my deputy governor who was here earlier. Lakini something came up and he had to go away. Prime Cabinet Secretary, all dignitaries here present, the political leadership of Embu County, the visitors who have come from different places in this country, and of course the good people of Embu County. Hamjambo. Yangu itakuwa machache sana kwa sababu mengi imesemwa, and I don't think nitakuwa nafanya justice nikijaribu kuongea zaidi. Only to assure the Prime Cabinet Secretary, first of all, appreciate your presence today. You've taken time off your very busy schedule to be with the people of Embu County and the rest of Kenyans who are here, because this expo is a Kenyan expo. We really appreciate the conversations that we have had here this morning, and even more conversations that happened yesterday with the President and the Deputy President. I just want to assure you that Embu is looking forward. we are working hard, number one, to improve on our local revenue collection. I told you earlier that the capacity, the potential ya Embu County kuokota pesa ya ushuru hapa katika Embu County ile tunaita own source revenue is 900 million. When I came in August, we were at 150 million. In fact, the highest that the county has ever collected in the last 10 years is like 400 million. But today, I can proudly tell you by end of June, we'll be at over 700 million. And sisi tumejikaza kamba, we are working hard, and we have agreed to partner na KRA watusaidie kubuild capacity ya Embu County Revenue Authority, because we are now convinced, and this is a conversation we've had even with my CEC, finance, and the entire team, that in fact we do have capacity to get to 1 billion if we work extra hard and if we improve on our capacity and we go completely cashless. And I'm happy watu wa Embu wamekubali kwamba the way to go now is cashless. Tumekataa kulipa cash money, tunalipa na M-Pesa, but we need a good system to be able now to see how this money is being collected real time. So sisi tuko mbele in terms of revenue collection. We still have a long way to go. We don't want to be in a comfort zone. We know we need to put more energy there. Number two, for the first time, Prime Cabinet Secretary, we have a department that is focusing on ICT. Nilipokuja hapa, there was almost zero in Embu County. Now we have a chief officer who is in charge of ICT and working to make sure that we improve on our ICT and connectivity in the county and train more young people. I want to appreciate Pesoko ambao next week watakuwa na train 300 women entrepreneurs na mambo ya e-commerce ama soko katika mtandao. Na wamama, mimi nataka mtoke hiyo soko ya Embu, hiyo mkuje mutrainiwe, muwe mnauza vitu zenu kwa simu, kwa sababu jana Prime Cabinet Secretary, the President launched free Wi-Fi, and I thank ICT PS. Asante sana. We launched free Wi-Fi kwa market yetu ya Embu na stage, na tukasema tunaenda kila mahali Embu County with free Wi-Fi, ndio watu wetu waweze kufanya biashara na simu zao. So we are very grateful for what the government is doing with us. We are willing to partner. We are willing to work hard with the people, with the national government. We are going to support the national government because tumeona by working with national government you get more benefits. Ama mjaona? Tumeona ile benefits imekuja Embu County by working with national government, and we are working hard to make sure that relationship stays, and we are working together as a leadership of Embu County ndio tuendelee mbele, ndio tufike mahali wengine wamefika na tuwapite. Finally, Your Excellency, I want to tell watu wa Embu kwamba Monday tutakuwa na waziri wa kilimo, waziri Linturi atakuwa hapa na atakuwa bado wakiwa na Governor Anne Waiguru ambaye ndiye chairperson wa Council of Governors. Monday tutakuwa tunaongea mambo ya kilimo. So we are inviting all the sectors za agriculture, coffee, tea, mugoka, macadamia, avocado, mango. Tunataka tuwe hapa tuongee na waziri wetu wa kilimo ndio tujue shida zetu zile tunafanya tulie kila siku na vile atatusaidia kuzuluhisha hizo shida zetu ambazo tuko nazo. Kwa hivyo mmekaribishwa. Tena kesho tutakuwa na service, Mheshimiwa Mkoji amesahau, tutaenda kanisa kuomba kwa sababu hakuna kitu inaweza endelea mzuri bila maombi amaje. So tutakuwa kanisa hii ya ACK hapa Cathedral kutoka saa 4:30 mkue hapo tuombe pamoja na viongozi wote wale wako hapa kwa expo. Mumekaribishwa, twende tuombe alafu turudi kwa expo. Finally, I want to appreciate you, sir, for taking time and really tell you we look forward to working closely with you. And mostly in your ministry, we are looking forward to working very closely with you as Embu County on matters performance contract. I know we have already started that conversation with your office, and we look forward to your team helping build the capacity of Embu County so that we can begin performance contract as the way to go, so that we can improve service delivery and we can be results oriented. Otherwise, kwa hayo machache nataka kuwashukuru sana wale mmeweza kuja. Tafadhali tumeshukuru sana for your presence, and we look forward to an even better day on Monday. Asanteni sana, na tarehe 1 tukutane kule Moi Stadium wakati wa Madaraka Day. Thank you very much. It's now my honor and pleasure to welcome the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Mudavadi, ama MDBT.
Asante. Tafadhali, you can be seated. Asante sana Governor Cecily Mbarire na wanaembu County wote na Wakenya pahali pengine ambapo wanatutazama kwa runinga. Mimi nataka tu niseme nimefurahi sana. Nimekuwa mwenyeji wa Embu leo. Nawatolea kofia, nasema asante sana. Pia nataka niseme kwamba mumejipanga. Nimejionea. Mumejipanga, na nilikuwa naambia governor na wenzetu wengine hapa awali kwamba nyinyi kama Embu wiki hii mumekuwa ile wanaita center of gravity katika taifa la Kenya. Mumeleta kila mtu hapa. Rais amekuwa hapa na wengine wote, na Wakenya watakuwa hapa wengi wakitaka kujua mnaendelea vipi na mnatupangia mambo gani tukienda kule mbele. Kwa hivyo tunawavulia kofia na tunasema governor na viongozi wote wa kisiasa ambao wako hapa na wataalamu pia, heko kwenu, mumebeba bendera ya Embu na muzidi kuipeperusha tukiona na tukifurahi. Madam Governor, before I speak too far, they allow me just 1 minute. I give to PS Tanui fanya clarification moja. I think it will be useful kuongezea ama kuchangia yale ambayo wenzetu walisema.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Your Excellency, the Governor, the leadership of Embu, my colleagues, and all the wananchi wa Embu. Good afternoon. Hello. Your Excellency, thank you for this opportunity. I'll just make 3 points. One of the points is that to support the government's agenda of transformation, we are connecting fiber across the country to every ward. We have 1,450 wards. Our objective is to reach every ward. And one of the things you'll experience as mwananchi is a free Wi-Fi at the market, at the post office, and the road stage, the public matatu stage. So it's on the experience. Ya pili, we are working with all the other government agencies to digitize government, including the county governments, including what you know now as e-citizen. And that's what Prime Cabinet Secretary wanted me to emphasize. We have finished the onboarding of e-citizen as a government-managed platform that enables wananchi to go to one platform and to be served, and there is one point of payment to government, which is pay bill number 222, where you can pay services to the government. We are now enhancing this platform to ensure that we are able to make it easy for mwananchi to engage government. The last one is the e-commerce, and the governor has mentioned there is huge opportunities in the digital space. One is e-commerce, the other is digital jobs, business process outsourcing, vitu inaitwa IT-enabled services, a lot of work on the digital space. We assure Kenyans we've been preparing. We are ready now to roll out, and in a few months you'll see us in your counties, in your areas, building the part of the 100,000 kilometers of fiber, and also building the government platforms, including working with my colleague at the KRS system, healthcare system, and all the other systems, so that you'll experience a digital government and a government as a platform. Thank you, Your Excellency. I think those are the comments I could make.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
I think it was some very useful information. First of all, let me thank the panelists, both from the Kenya Revenue Authority and also from the ICT sector and even the county government formation. Tunasema asante sana, you've done a good job. Now, because you have spoken, I will not go into the technical issues. I just want to point out one or two things. One, no country can develop without raising its own revenue. If anybody is going to tell you, no matter how well they may be dressed, no matter how smooth their tongue is, if anybody tells you that the country will grow without its own revenue, that person is cheating, is lying, and not only lying, but lying through the teeth. That message needs to sink to the Kenyan people. The other thing is that no government has its own revenue. Governments all over the world have to raise revenue from the citizens and the businesses that operate in their environment. There is no shortcut to it. So, as we go forward, what we are seeing here, the combination of the revenue team and the combination of the technology coming together, converging, so that it can help us enhance revenue collection. That is the future, and that is what will sustain us. I was involved in setting up KRA. When I was Minister for Finance, I'm the one who pushed a lot of the bill. I delivered the bill to Parliament, and eventually we created Kenya Revenue Authority. It has become one of the best revenue authorities within the African continent. And we need to make it even better. And the more we pay our taxes, ultimately everybody will even out, and it will be easier to now reduce taxes. Where the president is coming from, President William Ruto, is a very difficult corner. Na nataka munisikie kabisa. It is a very difficult corner. Because kwa kimombo, there's this thing they say, when you don't want to solve a problem, you keep on kicking the can down the road. Hautaki kuokota, unapiga, iende, unapiga, iende. This is what has happened. The previous people kept on kicking the can down the road. They kept on kicking the can down the road. But now, with the Kenya Kwanza government, we have to be honest with you. There's nowhere we can kick the can. We have to pick it up. And to pick it up, to resolve issues, is going to be a challenge, and a challenge that we can only resolve if we work together. So we will have to go through some difficult time. And I keep on repeating, some difficult time, some challenging times. But no situation is permanent. Even bad times come to an end. So I want to assure you that the challenges we are going through will also come to an end. They are not permanent. So, tuvute, tushikane, tuhakikishe kwamba tunaenda mbele. Kuna madeni mengi ambayo ni lazima tupambane nayo, lakini juzi serikali kupitia kwa Wizara ya Fedha wamekuwa na majadiliano na hata na IMF na watu wa World Bank, na mambo yanazidi kuonekana kwamba kuna mwangaza kule mbele. Kwa hivyo let us work on that particular issue. The second and maybe final thing I just want to quickly touch on is that tunataka pia teknolojia ingie kwa kilimo vile tumeona. Tusaidiane tusukume teknolojia kwa kilimo ili maisha yetu yabadilike na tupate ajira katika hizo sehemu. So what is being displayed here is critical for us as we move forward. The other day, I was talking to the accountants. Kenya has got about 50,000 accountants, and 35 of them are with ISPAC, 15,000 are preparing to also join ISPAC. These are very many good minds in matters of finance. And some of the issues they were talking about was broad, but taxation. Sasa, mimi, I want to challenge the Kenyans. Because finance bill imetolewa. Finance bill iko katika bunge. Na haijafichwa, inapelekwa kule ili wananchi watoe mawazo na mapendekezo pahali wanaona tunaweza rekebisha. Finance bill is there so that we can all make a contribution and rectify what we think is not appropriate. That is why it is before Parliament. But I want to tell those who speak a lot, please, if you say you don't want VAT, and the government was targeting to raise maybe 60 billion or 70 billion from VAT to deal with roads, to deal with medicine, to deal with education, then tell us, what is your option? Wewe, tuambie, what is the alternative? Kama we ni una umaarufu wa criticize, it's all right. But let us have an alternative from you which narrows or fills the gap. That is the question. Because all these people are talking. But what is their actual alternative proposal to fill the gap? Because we have a very huge deficit. I want to tell you the truth. They have no alternative. They want us to continue kicking the can down the road. We cannot do that because we will be hurting Kenyans. Juzi, Prime Minister wa Singapore alikuwa hapa na alisema hivi, as an example, kwamba in a country of 6 million people, because their country is 6 million, 85% of the housing in Singapore, 85% of their population is housed in shelter that has been built by the government through revenue collections and various ways to raise the money to house the citizens of that country. How are we going to house the Kenyan citizens? And the president has talked about the need to give everybody shelter, decent shelter. The Constitution demands that you give decent shelter. But the Constitution does not exactly tell you how to provide the decent shelter. We then have to be innovative and then provide ways, and we raise resources from the Kenyan people. But when you provide decent shelter, what does it mean? It means more jobs, as he says. But also, when you look at Embu here, to provide decent shelter, the moment you start putting up 400, 500 units, 600 units, 1,000 units, where does the human waste go? Isn't it? It has to be dealt with. So, when you talk about decent housing and what it takes, it also means that the government, as it is investing in housing, must also invest in proper sewer systems to broaden and improve the areas that people are going to live in. If you want to remove Kibera from its status so that it graduates from a slum, a difficult place to live in, you will not change Kibera until we also introduce very good sewer in that system. Are we going to do it for free? So let us tell Kenyans the truth, that we have a job to do. We have to save. We have to grow our revenues. At the same time, we have to provide security. We have to do roads. We have to feed the people. Where will this come from if there's no revenue collection and enhancement in our country? The final thing, which I thought was interesting, the Singapore people also said they have what you call the EduSave. It's a program of saving. The government, once technology is perfect, we know how many children we have. What Singaporeans are doing for their children in order to save for them, for the future of education, once a child is born, with technology, the government supports in opening, that's the government of Singapore, opening an account, an education savings account for that newborn child. So the government throws in something. As the child grows, when he or she is ready to go to secondary school and whatever, those savings then offset against the cost of education with respect to that child. And the parents of the child are also free to chip in the saving of that child. So, let us not be complacent. The world has changed. Nimekuwa kwa hii shule ya Kangaru. Good children, our children, both Kangaru, boys and girls. Tukiwa na hawa viongozi, nikauliza swali, I don't know what made me ask that question, but I just thought, let me ask. So, nikauliza hawa, wale ambao walishawahi kuona Moi na macho, ebu inua mkono. Can you imagine how a secondary school ya Kangaru, I think there were just about 20 children that were able to say they have seen Moi with their own eyes. I asked them, how many of you have been able to see Mwai Kibaki with your own eyes? Not reading of him, but physically seeing. It was slightly more, but again, the majority of the school, both boys and girls, never saw Moi, and they never saw Kibaki. So what does that tell you? It tells you, my friend, the generation has changed. Kwa Kiluya tunasema ibindu vichenjanga. Sijui kwa Kiembu mnasemaje? Mash engineer. What? So things have changed. So we are living with a completely different generation. And therefore we have now to embrace technology and do things differently. So with those remarks, let me say I look forward to be with you, Governor, the very good governor. I was telling her she has put her best foot forward with her team. Wacheze hiyo mpira vizuri, wajenge Embu, na tarehe mosi mwezi ujao tutakuwa na nyinyi tukiandamana na Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya kuja kusherekea umaarufu wa watu wa Embu. Mungu awabariki na pongezi sana.
Asante sana. Wapigieni makofi tafadhali. Tunajulisha kwamba kesho masaa ya kanisa ni saa 3. Sisi wote tukue tumepatana pale Cathedral, tuabudu pamoja, alafu turudi hapa tuendelee na onyesho letu. Basi naomba tuwapigie makofi viongozi wetu tunapowapatia nafasi ya kuondoka at their own leisure. Wapigieni makofi kabisa mpaka wakati watafika pale nje. Na baada ya hayo tutaendelea na exhibition.